Our second speaker today has been here before. Please welcome back Jim Anctil.
So for those of you who know me, I own Marie's Movers. It's a local moving company. I've been here in the past talking about issues that are very important to me, mainly refugee resettlement, issues in the inner city, blacks, Muslims, all of who are very important to me and are close friends of mine. I'm going to stick mainly to what I've written here. I have anything I bring up, I've got documentation and information in this bag. So, censorship has been a big topic lately, mainly because of the Trump administration's attempt to cancel the Jimmy Kimmel show. What the majority of Americans don't realize, and the majority of the rest of the world does, is that we are experiencing the greatest censorship campaign in modern history. And this started long before Trump. So rather than present an exhaustive account of this censorship, I've whittled it down to 3 movies which have been released over the past year. The first movie is No Other Land. It had its American debut in October 2024 at the New York Film Festival at Lincoln Center. Nobody was willing to distribute it, so its release was scattered and showings were short-lived at most venues. I saw it at the Film Forum in Greenwich Village back in January. It did show for long enough to meet the criterion for an Academy Award nomination, and in March it won the award for the Best Documentary Feature Film. You may think that this prestige would have convinced a distributor to take it on, but no. To this day, you cannot purchase this film or even view it online in the United States. No Other Land was filmed over years in the West Bank. It shows actual footage of IDF and settler terrorism and their gradual encroachment on the co-director's village. Since I have no way to watch the film now, I have to review the most memorable moments from memory. One is of the director's unarmed neighbor being shot and paralyzed from the waist down during a confrontation with settlers backed up by the IDF. Another is of the village well being filled with concrete by an IDF cement truck. The most shockingly memorable scene for me is of a bulldozer destroying the village school while the children were in class. The teachers had them escape through the windows with as many of their school supplies as they could carry. 2 of the 4 directors of this movie were Basil Adra, the Palestinian man whose village it was, and Yuval Abraham, his sympathetic Jewish Israeli friend who wanted to help. Since the entirety of this movie was filmed before the attacks of October 7th, it destroys the Hasbara propaganda myth that the attacks were unprovoked. Perhaps this is why the movie has been disappeared. Most likely it would have been as effectively censored if October 7th never took place. The next movie is an Israeli film called The Sea. It's in Arabic. It's a drama about a Palestinian boy who has never seen the ocean, risking his life to go through Israeli checkpoints and other deadly obstacles in order to get to the beach in Tel Aviv. There are thousands of Palestinians who have spent their lives as close to the ocean as we are right now and have never seen it. On September 17th, The Sea won Best Picture, as well as 4 other awards at the Ofer Awards, the Israeli equivalent of the Oscars. The Israeli culture minister responded the next day by withdrawing state funding to the Ofer Awards. Now the movie has been chosen for the Oscar International Feature Race. This puts it in a very ironic position. On one hand, you have pro-Palestinian entertainment leaders who support the message of this film, but are actively trying to boycott the Israeli entertainment industry. And on the other, you have Zionist entertainment leaders who are trying to rebuke the boycott, but by their association with the Israeli government are against the release of this film. The final movie is The Voice of Hind Rajab. This movie recently came in second at the Venice Film Festival, where it received an unprecedented 23-minute standing ovation. It tells the story of 5-year-old Hind, who on January 29, 2024 was forced with her family to evacuate her home in Gaza City. She, her uncle, aunt, and 4 cousins loaded into a car and proceeded upon what the IDF classified as a safe route. The car came under machine gun fire, and everyone except Hind and one of her cousins were killed. Her cousin called the Red Crescent, which started the most world-famous emergency call recording in history. On the recording, you can hear her cousin being shot to death, Hin picking up the phone and describing the approaching tank, crying for help, worrying that her mother will be upset because of the blood on her clothes, and finally the machine gun shots that killed her. Meanwhile, 2 Red Crescent paramedics were dispatched with Israeli clearance to save Hind, but were killed in their ambulance, feet from Hind's car. The movie keeps the actual recording with actors playing the Red Crescent personnel. This film has a better chance of being more widely distributed than No Other Land, since there are big Hollywood stars like Brad Pitt behind it, but we've yet to see. It's expected to be released domestically at the end of November. If you ask what these movies have to do with censorship, I'd ask, did you know about any of them? Did you know about schools being bulldozed with the children in them? Did you know that thousands of West Bank Palestinian children have never seen the sea? Did you know about Hind Rajab? If your answer is no to any of these questions, then you've made my point. If you ask what these movies have in common with Jimmy Kimmel, the answer is nothing. Kimmel, like everyone else on television, has been censored his whole career. That's what you get when you sign up to work under FCC regulation. The censor has famously interposed itself over the years in Lucille Ball's pregnancy, Elvis's pelvis, Janet Jackson's nipple, among other things. Kimmel getting his show back is a victory for capitalism, not free speech. Just ask Roseanne Barr, who was less valuable to Disney and whose departure was less financially controversial. In May of 2018, Roseanne tweeted about Obama's senior advisor. Roseanne said, "Valerie Jarrett looks as if the Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes had a baby." Roseanne did not say this on ABC. She tweeted it. She quickly apologized for what she called a bad joke, and it certainly was bad, and racist, too. Disney canceled her contract. Jarrett responded to Roseanne's cancellation with, "I think we have to turn it into a teaching moment." Donald Trump couldn't have said that better. There's a famous quote attributed to Voltaire, which reads, "I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it." This is the essence of free speech. If you can't defend Roseanne, you've already lost your argument defending Kimmel. A famous historical event that epitomizes the worst results of censorship was dramatized in the HBO series Band of Brothers. In April 1945, elements of the 101st Airborne Division entered the picturesque Bavarian town of Kofering. The residents were not happy with the presence of the Americans, but dealt with it with resignation. While on patrol on the outskirts of town, one of the platoons came upon a fence. And looking through this fence were emaciated, walking corpses, too exhausted to do much more than beg for food. Once the soldiers entered the camp, they saw piles of corpses and the apparatus of mass extermination. When they reported what they saw to the townspeople, the Germans all said they had no idea what the men were talking about. The Germans may have been telling the truth, but the Americans forced them to bury the bodies. The United States is now directly involved in another genocide. I have just given examples of the ongoing censorship campaign that perpetuates support for it. As the 101st Airborne pointed out to the residents of Kofering, ignorance, whether willful or not, is complicity. While we may never be forced to bury the dead of Gaza, one day there will be a reckoning. Almost 2 years ago, on December 23rd, 2023, the Reverend Dr. Munther Isaac gave his world-famous Christ in the Rubble Christmas sermon from his church in Bethlehem. His words best sum up the point that I've been trying to make. But again, for those who are complicit, I feel sorry for you. Will you ever recover from this? Your charity, your words of shock after the genocide won't make a difference. Words of regret will not suffice for you. We will not accept your apology after the genocide. What has been done has been done. I want you to look at the mirror and ask, where was I? And so, well, that's what I've prepared. I want to say I work with a lot of young people, and most of them are pretty apolitical. I own a moving company. But the ones who are, the college-educated ones, the ones who have an opinion on what's going on, they didn't vote for Kamala Harris, and they didn't vote for Donald Trump. A lot of them just went and handed in a blank ballot. And they did this because they couldn't ethically vote for somebody who's supporting a genocide. And the news that they get is not the news that our generation and the people older than me get. They're getting their news from a source that Netanyahu has just effectively censored, which is TikTok, by buying it, by having Larry Ellison buy it out. But the fact is if you want to know why Kamala Harris lost last year, it's because of this issue, and she knows it too. And if you follow on YouTube, when she goes around to her book groups and talks about this new 107-day book that she's published, she's heckled relentlessly by young people who know what she did and so what I'm trying to say is I'm desperately hoping that the Democrats, the party that I support and have my whole life, finally come to terms with this and understand what Bernie Sanders already knows, and what AOC knows, and what Zoran Mandami knows, that until the Democrats deal with this, they're never going to win another election. Okay, thanks.